Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the League of Europe YouTube channel for round two of the Formula 2 season. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Carmentalus. I will be taking you through the action as always. And joining me in the comms box, as always, is QVR Dakar. How you doing, mate?
Thank you very much, Aidan. Yes, I'm doing just fine, man. And yeah, very excited for round two of this season, this time at Vietnam, of course. But before we get into the action, we have a very special guest with us. Of course, I think as you probably know, we're going to be doing driver interviews over the season. And for this time out, we have someone. It's QVR Campbell. Hello.
Hello.
What an amazing intro.
So, Campbell, or Lewis, as most people know you. Just want to ask you a very simple question. What are your expectations and goals ahead of this season? Because you've done one round, of course, but how has that affected things? What are you looking forward to over the season?
I mean, first round of the season wasn't amazing, but I'll certainly take it, winning the sprint race and a decent recovery in the feature. Goals, obviously pushing the title again, probably like last season, but I feel less comfortable in this game compared to the F2 cars on the last game, so I mean, I just suppose we'll have to see how that goes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. One question from my end as well. Obviously, we're coming into the second season of Formula 2, and obviously the setup for this season of Formula 2 was completely different to what we had last season, obviously with the 100% feature races and reverse grid qualifyings. With the new format that we have, has your approach changed to the season? Are you more entitled to gun for the win every time around, or are you more kind of reserved this season, would you say?
I think overall it's definitely more reserved. Qualifying, you want to get that lap in and find yourself not at the back, you're out of place obviously.
Yeah.
And then running, I don't know, maybe guess P3 or P4 in the feature race, you might hold back just to get that extra place on the sprint. So it's definitely more of a tactical approach when it comes to position wise in the first race and getting a valid lap in qualifying.
Yes, indeed. And another question for you. Of course, teammate for the second year in a row, or second season in a row, QVR Verstappen. I just want to ask, how's your relationship with him, and who's number one driver of the team? Who gets precedence over that?
I mean, great question. I couldn't imagine we'd probably disagree on the answer to that question. So I think it really just would come down to who's in the lead out on track. Was probably the fairest way to do it.
Do you think you're a better driver than him?
I prefer not to speak.
Dan's trying to start some inter-team wars here.
It's my job, isn't it?
Yeah, another question from my end as well. Obviously, coming into the season, obviously finished runner-up last season to Toxic, and obviously Toxic's currently in the lead of the championship after the first round. Would you say that he's your biggest championship rival, or do you think there's other people that maybe have sprung a surprise so far?
Larkin's definitely one that I expected to be there, but I don't think him to be quite as there as what he has been. I know it's only round one, but he's been right up there in both last week's feature and sprint race. So he's definitely one we're going to need to watch out for. Hopefully means we'll have more than just the sort of two-horse race we had last season, which was I was always fighting a losing battle. So yeah, hopefully should have more of a title battle this season. Toxic, myself, Larkin, Verstappen, Chill, if he can string his races together.
Mm-hmm.
Should be a much more entertaining season up ahead.
I certainly agree with you there, but one thing I did want to ask is that obviously Toxic is the favourite going into this season. I think we can, well, hopefully I'll agree on that, sorry Liz. But, but do you think that now that there's much more drivers that are going to be at the front and fighting, do you think that's going to benefit you, or do you think it's going to be a bit of a hindrance against Toxic, for example? Do you think that having more drivers around is going to maybe hurt his chances and help you? How do you see that?
Toxic is known to be a bit robust on track. I think we all know he's what can be like out on track. I think we've all experienced it one way or another. No offence to him, but he does get caught up in a few incidents here and there. But I suppose we all can from time to time. So I hope it would help me, but I don't know. It's one of those things that it could help you and be against you. So I suppose you need to see how it actually plays out in the end.
Absolutely, yeah. Last question from my side as well. Obviously coming into Vietnam, I think the only question really I have to ask you is, do you hate this track like everyone else, or is this a track that you enjoy?
I would love to give a proper answer, but I don't think I've done enough laps to give a solid answer on it. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. The phrase to finish first, you first have to finish is definitely going to apply today. Keeping it out the wall is going to be crucial. So I hope I can do that. Hope I don't jinx anyone, touch wood. But yeah.
All right, I think that's all from us then. If that's all from you, Aidan. So
yeah, that's all from my end.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be it then. Thanks very much, Campbell, for turning up, and best of luck for the race tonight. Hopefully you do indeed finish first in the races. We'll be keeping a close eye out. Thanks for joining us, Liz.
Thank you, just hope you haven't cost me too much.
knowing our luck, we probably have, so don't blame us if it goes wrong.
Right, see you later.
See you later.
Brilliant. Yeah, obviously that was Campbell, everyone. Thank you to Campbell for joining, and obviously we're going to do interviews every other week. We obviously missed out last week. We had Toxic in the week before that, so 2 weeks time we'll have another guest in. We don't know who it's going to be as of yet. We'll wait and see, but some good takeaways from that little interview there with Campbell. Obviously a number of people don't really have a lot of experience with Vietnam is obviously one thing to take away from that. So from your end, Dan, would you say that Vietnam's probably going to be one of the more difficult tracks this season on the calendar?
I agree, because there's so many areas of difficulty just around the track. I put, like, through the roundabout, for example, the walls just creep up on you there. So the drivers are going to have to be very, very wary. And again, as Campbell mentioned in that interview, to finish first, you first have to finish. And I suspect that the driver that keeps it clean is going to be the guy that's going to come out on top here. Of course, there's no guarantees, but yeah, I think a more reserved mindset is going to be in the minds of these drivers, because this is clearly a very difficult, very technical track, and it's going to present a lot of challenges here tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. So just going to take you through the driver standings as we come into the second round of the championship. Obviously, Toxic leads the way. He was on 42 points. He did pick up a penalty in the week after the race, after the sprint race that is, and that has dropped him down to 40 points, but he does still lead the championship at the moment. He only leads the championship, though, by 3 points over Larkin after the first round. Larkin, I think, obviously, Campbell mentioned it in his interview, but Larkin so far, especially in the pre-season races and Bahrain, Larkin's been a bit of a surprise so far.
Indeed he has, and to be honest, I think he's the sort of driver that would benefit from a race like this at Vietnam, because we saw in Bahrain that he was probably one of the very few drivers that actually just maximised their performance across the whole evening. And I think now that there's a lot more, I'd say, or a lot less margin for error, a lot more potential to make those sort of mistakes. I think that if he's just able to keep that style of driving going, then he could really excel tonight and push himself forward in that championship fight.
Absolutely, yeah, that's one thing to look out for. Behind Larkin in the standings, Campbell and Verstappen, the two Trident cars, obviously battle for supremacy that me and Dan have now started in Trident. We've basically blown up the team after that interview, but they are level on points after the first round on 34. They're tied for third in the standings. Fifth in the standings is Chill in the second Prema car. He's only a point further behind. And then there's a bit of a gap. So already we kind of have a top five forming in the championship, and that is Campbell, Verstappen, Chill, Larkin and Toxic. And then there's a gap back to Excelling, who's currently running in sixth in the championship. He's 13 points back. Apart from the top five, do you really see anyone else kind of mixing with the top guys, whether it's championship wise or just race wins wise? Do you really see anyone challenging those top five drivers?
It's so difficult to say at this early point in the season, but I think that across the pre-season races and the first round, those guys have seemed definitely to be the most impressive on balance. But there's other guys that I think can mix it in there. You got the likes of Game Boys who weren't far off, XL Ling, those sorts of guys that they really at Bahrain they weren't that far off the pace, and it's really just now just having to really get amongst it. And again, a very unpredictable, fresh new track like Vietnam could throw up quite a few surprises in order. So that very consistent and very close top five in the championship, I have to say, even though they're rather isolated up there as a group. I do believe that they might, someone else might be able to spring a surprise if they put a clean race weekend together. Just going to have to find out soon as we prepare now for the first event of the evening, One Shot Quali.
Absolutely. Another thing to look out for today, both Carlin cars were absent, unfortunately, last time out. First full-time Carlin drivers, that is. They were absent last time out. They are both here today. So Alt Maverick, if anyone remembers back to the preseason race, Alt Maverick picked up a podium at Silverstone. So, like you say, anyone can really throw a surprise in, whether it affects the championship or not, or whether it is just a one-off performance. There's still all to play for, no matter where you start, really, because I believe Maverick started further down the grid at Silverstone and still came home with a podium in maybe a game that he's not as confident on as other people.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Of course, these guys can all certainly impress. They've all got the potential to, and you're going to see as much of that, I'm sure, over tonight. But of course, now we've got to focus on the test of outright speed. One shot qualifying. We're just waiting for the drivers to ready up, and we're going to see, because of course, last time you had the likes of Toxic and that ended up finishing high up in the races that struggled in the one-shot quality. So we're going to see now if they're actually able to stack up and if the top drivers can put the laps together here in the one-shot.
Absolutely, we're going to ride on board with second place in the championship, Larkin, as he runs down into the first corner. Then remember, this is the new track for pretty much everyone. It's a new track to the calendar for around turn 1. Keeps it revving in first gear. It was very late to change gear there, was Larkin. Carty's already retired from the session, so it looks like he's invalidated very early. Through the very long turn 3 into turn 4. A lot of mid-corner understeer there for the Arden, but he's now on to the first of the DRS straights, coming up to the end of the first sector before the long roundabout before the back straight. Here it comes then into the chicane. At the end of the first sector, it's Toxic and Campbell in front of the field. Larkin languishing at the moment in the mid part of the top 10. Through the chicane, it's a lot of inside curb. It bounces him wide, so he struggles to get the car turned in for this incredibly long left-hander, and then kinks to the right, and then it's the very, very long back straight that isn't quite straight. There's a lot of kinks in here, and I've noticed in previous commentaries that I've done that it actually is very difficult to overtake down this straight, because the natural racing line just from the inside here all the way to the outside, you'll see Larkin keep right to the right-hand side for qualifying, but in the race, see people drift over to the left as he comes into the braking zone for the hairpin. Incredibly tight hairpin here as he turns in, gets down into second gear. Larkin's made some time up in the middle sector, it seems, as he comes out of the hairpin into the third sector. Carty unfortunately has left the session. Fingers crossed he can join back before the race starts. Now into the very technical third sector. First part of this third sector is based off the early part of the Monaco track, and then the second part is basically a street version of Suzuka. As we come through, it's a lot of left-right kinks here, down into fourth gear, down into third actually, picks up a lot of understeer in the right-hander. Same in the left-hander here as well. It misses the apex by quite a margin as he comes up to the final 2 corners now. Obviously edited this corner before the track went live on this game. So coming into the final corner now, very easy to hit the wall on the inside and the outside of the final corner. Larkin comes round. Larkin looking for a top 3 start, but it's going to be Toxic. He obviously didn't qualify at the front last time out. Toxic is able to get top spot in qualifying today by almost exactly 0.3 of a second over Campbell. Chill picks up third in the second Prema, but the top 2 miles ahead of the rest of the field.
Indeed, that was almost stratospheric, the amount of margin that they have over the rest of this grid, and that could be an ominous sign for the race. Of course, we talked out those guys. They dominated the championship last season, and maybe on course to do it again, because that is quite an emphatic statement in qualifying. But it is Toxic this time. Pole position, Campbell joining him in the front row, and I'll leave you to run us through the rest of the grid for the one-shot qualifying.
Absolutely. Then the second Prema car of Chill picks up third on the grid, over a second behind his teammate. Such a massive gap, like we said, from between the top 2. Larkin currently runs it. He's in fourth, ahead of Tim in fifth. Again, a good qualifying from the Univirtuosi car. Verstappen is in sixth, but if a poor result for the Trident man. Philippe in seventh, ahead of Ling in eighth. Tun in ninth, and Alex rounds off the top 10. Jordan JT is in 11th, ahead of Ibo in 12th, and then it's Maverick and Carl, the only ones that weren't able to set a time. But another note there, Verstappen, only sixth on the grid, seems to be struggling here.
Indeed, of course, but as we mentioned, it's, there's so little room for error, and he could have just made a mistake on that lap, a big mistake that really set him back. Of course, we do know that those two Trident guys are quite large rivals, and a gap of pretty much a second between them is going to be a little bit of a concern for Verstappen. But of course, he needs to try and get his confidence back up, and there's not much time to, because we are getting towards the first race, the feature race. And again, these drivers, there is no room for error, but at the moment in that qualifying, it was Toxic and Campbell that really produced the goods, and they're in a golden position to try and challenge for the top spots here today.
Absolutely, yeah. Looking further behind as well, the battle between Chill and Verstappen will be interesting for the team standings after the first round. Prema and Trident are quite far clear of the rest of the field already. There's only a 5-point difference between Prema and Trident in Prema's favour, so that's one thing to look out for. The team's championship here, Trident and Prema so evenly matched.
Indeed, they are, and of course, we mentioned those 5 championship contenders that they could be. Those 2 teams account for 4 of them, obviously. So as Kelty's got jumped out of the session, I'm not sure if he's able to get back in. But I think we established even before the season that they are the favourites, and we're seeing that here again. So hopefully some of the other teams, I know the Virtuosi guys, for example, they have a lot of pace, just maybe not delivering it on as consistent a basis as those Prema and those Trident guys are managing. But Toxic Campbell front row, again, it's those 2 teams up at the front. We'll see how they're able to stack up there. Toxic leads them round in the formation lap there, and what's interesting here is a little bit of variation of strategies amongst the front runners here.
Absolutely, yeah. Toxic on the front of the grid, starting on the soft tyres. Campbell going opposite. He's gone for the mediums, as has Larkin in 4th place. So let's see how far the people on the soft tyres can go. Obviously, there's only 1 step difference between the tyres here, as opposed to the 2-step difference we saw last time out. So and there may not be that big of a difference between tyre performance, but track grip around this track is so low. So running at the mediums at the start could be quite a disadvantage.
For the first few laps, I do anticipate that. Indeed, I suspect that it's going to feel like driving on ice, to use a cliche there, for those medium runners, and they're going to have to get these switched up, particularly on this formation lap. Of course, they're that much more difficult to get into the operating window, and if those guys aren't able to do it, then they could find themselves swamped up at the front. But if Campbell is able to stay ahead of Chill, Larkin and all the rest, it's going to put him in a great position, because he now has a good basis to try and attack Toxic later on in the race. We know there's not much between those guys on pace, at least based on the one shot. So I think the real determining factor on who wins this race, other than potentially crashes or incidents, is going to be whether Campbell can hold that position at the start and then threaten Toxic later on.
Absolutely, like you say, holding position at the start for Campbell is going to be key. Believe it or not, with the long straights around this track, it is actually very difficult to overtake here. And obviously, it's even more difficult to overtake in Formula 2 cars, because the only aid you have in terms of overtaking is the DRS. There's no ERS, no fuel mixtures in these cars. Other people running on the mediums, Verstappen and Philippe in 6th and 7th place, they've gone for the medium tyres. Tun in 9th has gone for the medium. So look at the 5 at the back of the field, all on soft tyres. Look for them to try and make progress early ahead of those medium tyre runners further down the field.
Indeed, of course, being able to get the jump, the likes of Tun, the likes of Philippe, they're going to be the ones that are going to be looking over their shoulders, because those guys near the back of the grid that maybe didn't have the qualifyings that they were after could be charging us now. Toxic takes his place on the front of the grid. Campbell alongside him, the rest of them gearing up behind. I'll leave it to you to take us to the start then. Toxic and Campbell on the front row. Who's going to have that lead going down into the tight first corner?
Absolutely, yeah. Which strategy is going to prevail? Who's going to get the best run down into turn 1? Can Toxic take 2 feature race wins in a row? He starts from pole position, the best possible place for this track to take that win. Got a little bit of a delay before the lights, but here they come then. Here come the 5 lights ahead of the drivers. Who's going to get the best start? And the lights are out and away they go, and it actually looks like Chill in 3rd place has got an incredible start in the Prema. Campbell's all over the road, he's sliding about, but look at Chill, what an amazing start from 3rd on the grid. He's down the inside of his teammate. Is he going to take the lead from Toxic down into turn 1? Toxic forced on the outside curve, but Toxic has the inside line for turn 2. He's going to retake the lead coming down towards turn 3, the long turn 3, but it's a Prema 1-2. We've got a Univirtuosi in 3rd place. Tim is up to 4th. What an incredible start he's had. Campbell's dropped to 4th. He had such little traction off the line, as did Larkin. He's lost a place to Tim as well. Leap side by side with Verstappen. They've had relatively decent starts on the medium tyres. Verstappen down the inside trying to repass the Arden man down into the 2nd sector. He's down the inside. Is he going to get the move stuck? He is, but Philippe sticks it down the inside for the 2nd part of the chicane. But Verstappen's going to have the momentum around the outside. Look at Philippe down the inside though. He has the shorter run into the corner. Can he get fully ahead before the straight? No, he can't. They're still side by side. Coming onto the long back. Verstappen finally gets the run out of the corner. He gets ahead of the Arden man, but here comes Tun in 8th place up behind them as well. Alex in 9th in the Univirtuosi. He's doing a good job on those soft tyres. Ling's dropped to 10th. He's had a bit of a poor start. Carl T's made up 3 places at the start. Campbell looking to get back into the hairpin. Way around the outside before the corner, and Tim can't fight it. And look at Larkin with a late dive down the inside of the hairpin as well. He's going to force Tim onto the curb. There's not a lot of grip out there. Larkin's going to get the better run. Tim had a great start, but he's immediately lost those 2 places that he gained. Meanwhile, Chill has actually repassed Toxic later on in the lap. He's taken the lead ahead of his teammate, but at the end of lap 1 here, coming now through the 3rd sector, but the end of lap 1, a relatively clean start, as actually we've got Carl T off the road at the start of the 3rd sector, but an incredibly clean start here for Vietnam, and Chill is the one who takes the lead of the race.
Yeah, Toxic got wide going through the hairpin and lost out. There's been a furious battle for the lap between Philippe and Verstappen over 6th and 7th, but they're losing ground to the front, and I think I saw Philippe in the wall. He is pitting on lap 1, which I don't think will count as a mandatory pit stop, so that is going to be very, very disappointing, and a huge blow to his chances in this race, but sure it is, who leads over the line to start lap 2. Toxic, after that mistake, going to be furious, eager to try and get past his teammate. Is Chill going to fight it? Is he going to defend? We don't know yet, but Toxic is absolutely all over his prima teammate and going to be eager to get past anytime soon. We'll see here as we come out of the traction zone there, opening up, and now of course no DRS yet in this race, but the slipstream is going to help him try and pull himself a little bit closer to his leading teammate, but it looks like Chill is just about going to hang on. Of course, as you mentioned, very difficult to find overtaking at this track, and Chill just about hanging on, but we've got a very long straight to go as we're coming out the roundabout, so we'll see if that lead lasts much longer.
Absolutely, yeah. Toxic gets an coming out of the roundabout. He's tucked right up behind his teammate. Campbell, meanwhile, in 3rd place, has gapped Larkin further behind, so he's doing a good job on the medium. Now, he's going to take the outside line for the hairpin. Has he got a full run? Is he going to get fully ahead of his teammate towards the hairpin? This is where Toxic made the mistake the lap before. Till's on the inside. He's still fighting this one with his teammate there, side by side, coming into the corner. Till still got the inside line. He's still there. Toxic's going to squeeze him on the curb on the inside, but Toxic goes all the way around the outside of the hairpin and pulls that move off in a very tight corner. Brilliant move from Toxic. He retakes the lead of the race ahead of his Prema teammate. Till looking maybe to try and come back it in, but now it's very difficult to overtake up until turn 1. It's really the next overtaking opportunity. Can Chill keep close to his team? 3rd sector, Chill actually wall there with a lot of understeer teammate, and look at that, Toxic already 0.8 of a second clear. Campbell's starting to catch these guys as well in 3rd place on the medium tyres. He's doing a brilliant job after recovering from the start of that race. Larkin in 4th, Tim in 5th, and the top 5 have really gapped the guys behind. That battle between Philippe and Verstappen has cost Verstappen quite a lot of time. Further down the field, Alex is up into 7th, Ling back up into 8th place, Maverick is up into 9th, and Jordan rounds off the top 10. Tons dropped to 11th on those medium tyres. I think Tons picked up some damage as well. He has on the right hand side of his wing. We've had Carl T retire from the race, and Philippe obviously has pitted, but that's not going to count as his mandatory pit stop as Toxic starts up through the race, already 1.2 seconds clear of his teammate after 1 sector.
Yeah, he's really starting to get that foot down. His Chill makes a bit of an error on the inside wall at turn 4. It's going to compromise his run a little bit onto the straight, but he is still pulling away from Campbell and from Larkin, those two medium runners, doing a decent job of running up near the front, and of course their mission comes later on in the race. Looking further down, the closest battle on track appears to be between Alex and XL Ling. Of course, both soft runners a little bit lower down than I think they otherwise ideally would want to be. Ling's going to try and get underneath that Virtuosi car as soon as he can down in 8th. He'll want more than that, so the Dutchman powers out, but Alex gets a good run, and he does have a decent, healthy advantage. Is going to keep him propelling down this very, very long straight towards the hairpin. DRS will be active now, but I think that Alex's advantage may just about be sufficient. XL Ling closing in that slipstream, but the hairpin is fast approaching, and he defends a little bit to the inside, holds it out. Of course, so difficult to overtake at this track, and we're seeing it already here in this feature race. Alex stays ahead of Ling. Meanwhile, Toxic easily gapping his teammate. That got 2 seconds already. He is really on it today.
Yeah, Toxic is absolutely flying. If qualifying was anything to go by, Toxic is in a class of his own at the moment. 2.6 seconds clear of his teammate, who seems to be really, really struggling, especially in the final sector. Look at that, it's up to 2.8. So Chill, obviously really struggling with maybe some understeer in the final sector. Campbell starting to come at him. Campbell with a little bit of a lock up there into the penultimate corner. Campbell dragging Larkin. Again, Larkin doing a very necessarily the fastest man out there, but very, very consistent. He's keeping with Campbell on the same strategy, so look out for it. At the moment, it's a battle between Chill, Campbell and Larkin for the rest of the podium places. Tim running in 5th, doing a much better job than he had last time out in Bahrain. Obviously got a bit unlucky last time out in Bahrain, but this is more like it from the Univirtuosi guys. 5th and 7th. Verstappen, though, on the medium tyres, not really making an impression at this point. Still 2 seconds behind Tim, and not really pulling away massively from Alex behind.
No, and it's you did maybe expect to
Tim is sorry to jump in there. Tim made a massive error in turn 4. I think he took too much curb on the inside and he lost the rear of the car. Tim sliding out onto the straight. He's lost a lot of time. He almost had to come to a complete stop to avoid hitting the wall. Ling meanwhile's down the inside of the other Univirtuosi, so I just cursed Univirtuosi, saying that they're 5th and 7th and now down to 6th and 8th in the space of 2 corners. But yeah, Tim, a massive moment coming out of turn 4, nearly hit the wall, and that's allowed Verstappen up into 5th place.
Indeed it is then, but he's still got nearly 4 seconds to Larkin up ahead, and that is going to be quite a task to try and make up. We'll see if the Dutch Trident driver can manage it. Of course, with these 3 medium runners up near the front of the field now, they're engaged in a little bit of a waiting game. It looks as though Toxic has already pulled as Campbell goes around. Campbell's spinning out of the hairpin, and that's dropped him behind. It's going to drop behind Larkin. It's going to drop behind Verstappen as well. He's going to fall way down the field, and for the second time this year, Campbell spinning out and dropping well down the field. He's got so much to make up now, and that is going to put him out of contention for the podium potentially. He's got so much overtaking to do. As I think that was Maverick going past Jordan there. That's actually, I think Maverick's driving his AI. I'm not sure what's going on with that car. But Campbell, big story there. The leading medium runner being able to maintain that gap ahead of Larkin, now out of the running for the race win, surely, and got so much to make up there. That's a lot of work to do now for Campbell, but that's a better blow for the Scotsman.
That is such a shame for the Scotsman. 2 weeks in a row, like you say, that he spun out of contention for a podium in the feature race. He's now 2.5 seconds behind Alex. Let's see if Campbell can make up for the time he lost, but that is such a shame for him. Running in third place, the lead medium runner, as you said. Larkin now takes over as the lead medium runner, but he's already 3.5 seconds off the back of Chill, who is now nearly 3.5 seconds off the back of his teammate. So Toxic is up and gone at the front of the field. Now we'll wait and see whether the medium runners of Larkin and Verstappen can start to catch Chill. This has given Larkin another opportunity to try and keep close to Toxic in the championship. Tons come into the pit lane. I think he's done that to replace his front wing. That will count as his mandatory pit stop, but I'll be shocked if he's able to take those soft tyres to the end of the race from here. He'll probably have to pit again at some point later on in the race. Philippe's worked his way back up to 11th, but he has to pit again as well, so he will drop right to the back of the field for his second pit stop. Looking further down, Campbell is starting to close in on Alex ever so slightly, but that is such a shame for the Trident man, who said he was in the interview before the race, said he didn't have the confidence on this game and was really struggling with the Formula 2 cars, and it's shown again. 2 feature races in a row, 2 spins.
Indeed it is then, and that's going to be another huge blow. But we saw that in Bahrain, of course, that when he spun out that feature race, it gave him a great opportunity in the sprint race, and he grabbed it with both hands, of course, taking home the win. What's going on? I think that's Tim making an error.
I think Tim made an error in front as well, and Ling's on the back of him, but also Campbell had a massive rear lock coming into the hairpin. We saw this last time out with Trident. They were really struggling with their brakes. They often locked up into corners, and it really cost them a lot of overtaking opportunities at Bahrain because they didn't have the confidence on the brakes. And it seems, second week running, that they're both struggling with front and rear locking. They're really, really struggling to slow the car down.
Indeed they are then. It is going to really compromise them. I actually saw Campbell just after a spin. At the penultimate corner on the lap, he massively missed the apex just due to not turning in thanks to the rear locking. So, yeah, the Trident guys just not quite got on top of it, and it really is Prema. They're grabbing this opportunity and running with it. Look at that. They are comfortably 1 and 2 in this race. A fantastic day for them so far, but of course, a long way to go here in Vietnam, and all can change in the blink of an eye, of course. But Toxic, he can be a bit more reserved now. He's got 4.5 second advantage over his teammate at the front now. Absolutely running with this one and driving supremely all the way through. And if Toxic keeps this up, he can win by a massive margin, but he doesn't need to, that's the thing. He can just drive within himself, and it should come home with a race victory. So Toxic driving brilliantly so far. We're going to watch XL Ling now. He's on the attack again versus the Virtuosi car. This is the other one of Tim, and he's got a very good exit there out of turn 9 and chasing him down. Now down the back straight. We'll see now. He's tucked underneath the rear wing, and surely a matter of time. Pulls out to the right hand side. DRS now active, and he will comfortably cruise past and into 5th place. So XL Ling is making pretty quick progress thanks to the spins that we've been seeing from the likes of Campbell. So he moves up and now into 5th. We'll see if he can hold on ahead of Tim. A bit of a wiggle out of turn 11 there for Ling, but he just about keeps it together. Looking towards the front though, the gap at the front has continued to extend as now the medium runners may be coming into the road, as Larkin now finally beginning to rein in QVR Chill. So we'll see if that position changes hands, and the softs maybe starting to lose a little bit of grip now, and the medium runners such as Larkin and Verstappen now starting to come into play.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Chill must have made a mistake somewhere. He's now 7 seconds off his teammate and only 1.5 ahead of Larkin. First off is into the pit lane. That is Ling and Tim. Tim's unfortunately sped in the pit lane, caught out I think by Ling slowing down, and both Uni Virtuosos have come in at the same time. That's that's a disaster for Uni Virtuosi. Alex is going to get held up absolutely massively, especially with how long Formula 2 pit stops are. That's a shame for him. Jordan JT is also in as well. One thing I've noticed, though, we're on lap 7. We're nearly halfway through this race already, and the soft tyres are still going, especially for Toxic. But both Premas are still out on the track, so one of these guys is going to have to go over half a race distance on the softer compound of tyres.
Yeah, or at least half the race distance. So yeah, that is quite remarkable. And of course, those guys really pushing it, but at the moment, they're still running 1-2, so they can afford to stretch it just as long as they're not pushing puncture territory, of course. The real danger that Chill has is that obviously he's got Larkin and Verstappen that are still very much within contention. We saw how Toxic was able to quite easily breeze away at the front. I don't think Chill has made the absolute most of this first stint, because now he hasn't been able to quite gap Larkin. Larkin's been able to hang with him. And of course, when the fortunes change and the tyres are reversed later on in this race, it could very well completely swap this second place battle. Larkin, of course, has been so consistent on the podium. Looks like he's on course at least to do it again. And Chill's going to have to be watching over himself. He will have the advantage of an undercut, more than likely. Of course, we don't know when Larkin's going to pit. But of course now, Chill is going to be very vulnerable and he cannot afford errors now. Larkin is going to be bearing down on him later on in the race.
Absolutely, yeah, that's one thing to look out for. Chill doesn't seem to have the confidence on the soft, so coming onto the medium tyres, that's going to be a real struggle for him. Again, well, Chill's now into the pit lane. Toxic's gone for another lap. He can do with the lead that he has. Chill dives into the pit lane then, so we can't take those any further than lap 7. He's the next person on the soft tyres to come in. I imagine we'll see Alt Maverick come into the pit lane as well. He's rounding the corner just before the pit lane entry. It's a relatively short pit lane here. We obviously missed the last 2 corners coming in and the first 2 corners coming out of the pit lane, but only a 37-mile-an-hour speed limit. We don't lose as much time here. Just looking further down the field, Verstappen, after being let through by the Uni Virtuosi drivers of Tim and Alex, hasn't caught Larkin. He just doesn't have the confidence around this track. He's still 4 seconds back and isn't closing in at all. And in fact, Campbell's starting to re-close in on his teammate here.
Yeah, it seems like Larkin and Verstappen are quite similar on overall race pace. Maybe Verstappen's got a bit more in the car, but Larkin is just delivering it a little bit more consistently. One man that is delivering it both quickly and consistently, of course, is your race leader, Toxic MML, of course, after a recent name change. He is dominating this race. 9 seconds clear, just 7.5 laps in. That is truly, truly remarkable pace. And if he keeps this up, he could be on for quite some winning margin, but he can't get ahead of himself. He has to keep his head down, of course. One battle that seems to be rather consistent out on track at the moment is Ling and Tim. Of course, we saw Ling a few laps ago manage to get past Tim, but Tim is hanging on in there and sticking with that leading car, of course, so he can try and punch his way back if he's able to find himself an opening. But Ling hanging on in front, but Tim being a bit of a nuisance behind him, as I believe Toxic now, is he going to head towards the pit lane? I'm not sure. He's a few corners away from the end of the lap. He's got such a massive advantage. Toxic does come in now. I think he's the last of the soft starters into the pits and getting those tyres off, and he'll be potentially in a bit of traffic, but he should, after when everyone's came in, should have a relatively healthy lead at the front.
Absolutely, yeah. It takes those tyres 8 laps into the race. That's amazing that the soft tyres had that much longevity, and he had so much pace on the soft tyres throughout the entire stint that he was on. So he comes into the pit lane. Let's see where he comes out. Campbell's come into the pits. He started on the medium, so he thinks he can take the softs to the end, and it's very likely, now that we have less fuel in the car, that Campbell can take those soft tyres to the end. Just goes to show that the life in the 2 tyres is relatively similar around here. It doesn't seem that there's a lot of tyre wear around this track, especially in Formula 2 cars. Looking further down as well, like you said, Tim hanging on to the back of Ling, but Ling's starting to gap ever so slightly. It's more kind of Tim kind of keeping within DRS range when it comes to the DRS zones. Let's see where Toxic comes out. Toxic comes out ahead of Chill by about 7.5 seconds, I would say. Yeah, about 7.5 seconds clear of his teammate. So Toxic still out in the net race lead, and Campbell's going to come out of the pit lane on the soft tyres. He's going to be behind that battle between Ling and Tim, and he's going to be behind Maverick as well. So he's currently in reverse grid pole position, but he's still got a ways to go to try and make some points back up.
He's going to be just in front, well, in the end, a few seconds in front, thanks to the shorter run of the pit lane. Now, he is in that reverse grid pole, but expect a charge in the back half of this race from QBR Campbell. We'll see him now begin to move himself forward there slowly but surely. Now, I think the really intriguing battle is the one for second place between Chill and Larkin. I suspect that Larkin and Verstappen are going to be coming into the pits, possibly on this lap. So just over halfway through the race, we will have the entire grid in and going to the end. But Larkin should come out a couple of seconds adrift of Chill, but of course he's going to have perfectly clean air behind him, and he can push up to him on those faster soft tyres.
Oh,
so
Chill's round.
For second place. Chill's gone round. What's happened there?
Chill spun on the exit of the hairpin. He's done exactly the same thing as Campbell. I thought I saw the gap between him and his teammate growing. He spun the car on the exit of the corner. He's hit the wall, but I think he's got away with no damage. But Chill has just thrown away a net second place. He's now 16.5 seconds off his teammate and nearly back with this battle between Ling and Tim. Chill really struggling for confidence on the softs, has now spun the car on the medium tyres, and that's going to put him out of contention for the podium, because at this point Verstappen will also jump him as well.
Yeah, of course, the net gap between them was probably about 6 seconds or so, I want to say. So that is going to swing the pendulum surely towards the Dutch driver. I suspect that Larkin and Verstappen could come out in positions 2 and 3. Let's see. Of course, you see that train coming down the main straight. That Chill is going to get ahead for the moment, but the shorter run of the pit lane is going to be pretty close. But I think that Verstappen is going to get out ahead, and by a decent margin in the end. He has recovered to the podium for the time being, and with those soft tyres, I think that position is pretty secure. I think that Toxic, with an 11-second lead, is going to be relatively safe. It's now, can Chill possibly fight back against Larkin and against Verstappen? It's going to be a tall order, and he does have Ling and Tim for company now behind him. So Chill, going to be better disappointment. He's gone from a potential second place to an almost certain fourth place without any further mistakes. So that is going to be really, really tough to take. And Chill, he's going to be not even looking at a podium at this stage there. He's going to be so disappointed. And it's now, at this stage, looking more behind him than in front of him there. That's better for Chill.
That is such a shame for Chill, like you say. Yeah, running comfortably in second place, obviously before the pit stops happened, and then that spin has dropped him off the podium, like you say, and he's going to be looking behind him. Ling has now dropped Tim, meanwhile, so Ling's now safe in 5th place. Tim currently safe in 6th. He's got a 6-second gap back to Maverick. It's at the moment, it's a battle between Maverick and Campbell for reverse grid pole for the sprint race. They're currently running on the front row, but Campbell is catching Maverick at about a second and a half a lap at the moment. So look for Campbell to pass Maverick very, very soon, and that will put Maverick on reverse grid pole. Campbell actually just hits the wall coming out of the hairpin, so it looks like Campbell is still struggling for grip out there, despite being on the softer of the 2 tyres. He hit the wall coming out of the hairpin, so he's still struggling. Both Trident cars have been struggling in this race. Verstappen doing a good job of recovering from a poor qualifying, but still doesn't have the pace of Larkin in front. He's now 4.5 seconds behind Larkin, who's closing on Toxic ever so slightly. Meanwhile, Toxic sets the fastest lap of the race, but look for Larkin to maybe try and zap and gain some sort of points back on Toxic, who has absolutely dominated this race so far.
And I think that the point that we've been making, this is a very technical circuit, and you're seeing the mistakes creeping in from some very high quality drivers. And penalty Chill!
Oh.
And that can really set him back. Ling is all over the back of him then in that DRS range, and it's very tough to break away with DRS because there's 3 zones, of course, on this track. Now, Tim is very tight with that margin as well. So Ling is perfectly clean, but Tim does have that stop and go, so it's going to set him back. But at the moment, XL Ling, from running down in about 8th, 9th early on in the race, now looking at a top 4. That is quite a good day's work for XL Ling, and he's managing, looks like as it stands, he's going to finish ahead of 2 of those top 5 drivers that we keep banging on about, and him being 6th in the standings. Could bring himself back into it, so Ling, with the consistency, with the clean driving, just like Larkin, could really get himself right into this there. XO Ling currently heading for 4th place, potentially, if he keeps it clean. He's closing on Chill now, in fact, then, and gaining down the straight, but the hairpin, the braking zone, comes just in time for Chill. Runs wide, though, but the traction on the outside should be a little bit superior, and he is able to hold on to that 4th place, but there just seems to be no confidence in the man that was at first pretty comfortably in 2nd position in this race. Now, slipping back and looking at 5th place there. Chill, mistakes starting to creep in, and now XO Ling all over him then. Chill having to look behind. XO Ling now beginning to come to the fore and looking for 4th place now.
Absolutely, and this is really a staple of Ling in Formula 1 and Formula 2. Ling may not quite have the pace of some of the people at the front, but he's so incredibly consistent, so neat and tidy, so clean, and he's able to work his way to the front, even if he is lacking the pace. It's great stuff from Ling. More to what we've seen than we saw at Bahrain. He obviously struggled quite a bit in Bahrain, Ling for outright speed. He had a relatively solid sprint race, but really struggled in the feature. But he's now on the back of Chill, like you say, for a top 4 finish, and it looks set in stone at the moment if he can just keep with the Prema driver. He is struggling to keep up in the last sector, but like you say, 3 DRS zones, all in the early part of the lap, is keeping Ling within touching distance. Tim, with that time penalty at the moment, is under threat of falling behind Maverick and Campbell. So the silver lining for Tim at the moment is that he could actually end up on reverse grid pole with that time penalty that he's got. Maverick and Campbell are both closing in on him. Speaking of Campbell, he's all over the back of Maverick now, coming down into the chicane, and he looks like he's going to breeze past before the corner. It's an easy move in the end, and Maverick doesn't fight it. He doesn't really have the tools to fight it. Campbell up into 7th place. He's worked his way back up into 7th, but still only 7th in this race, despite that spin and despite the fresher tyres. Campbell's going to be so disappointed. He's going to get 6th with the penalty of Tim in front, but that's all he can really get, as Maverick has a massive moment coming onto straight, well held from the Carlin man, but he nearly put it in the wall.
And Leng goes to the inside, and then the outside of Chill, down this isn't straight if you like, and round goes Exo Leng. He's up into 4th place, but runs wide, locks it up, and Chill tries to get back underneath in 1st gear through the hairpin, but the traction doesn't quite come through, and Leng gets 4th now, by right, out on track, so he is through, and Chill now down to 5th by right. Now he's not going to be a happy man, and he is going to be looking to try and reclaim that 4th position as soon as he can from the Dutchman. But Leng up into 4th has had a very solid race, and he is just doing fine if you like, being able to keep himself up near the front of the grid now, and now he's going to have to try and keep Chill behind and try and avoid penalties for himself if he wants that 4th place. Penalty Toxic, and Larkin is slowly catching him, but I don't think he's really going to be under threat. So Toxic, maybe a first little error in this race, but with a 10-second lead, I don't think he's going to be quivering in his boots just yet.
Absolutely not. No. One thing to look out for is Chill. That's really late dive. I think he actually got caught out by how late he braked. I think he completely outbroke himself and had to turn it into a dive. Have we got a yellow flag? I think we've got a virtual safety car in this race. We have, yeah, a virtual safety car for Tun crashing. Tun's crashed at the start of the 3rd sector. It looks like he's spun coming out of the left-handed 90 degree, the right-handed 90-degree corner. So that's a virtual safety car. So the first one of the race. But yeah, Chill caught out there by, I think, how early Ling braked for the corner, and he had to turn it into an overtake to avoid him. He's let Ling back through. But yeah, one thing I was to look out for is Chill gets a drive-through for speeding under the virtual safety car. As if this race couldn't get any worse for Chill. He's going to have a drive-through. He's got to serve it before the end of the race, and that's going to drop him even more places. It will drop him down into 8th place, so he will take reverse grid pole at this point. But from running in 2nd place down to 8th, this race could not get any worse really for Chill at this point.
Don't say that, but yeah. But yeah, it's been so bitterly disappointing, because this was a real opportunity for him to get great points to the Championship Challenge, possibly in a fight for 2nd place, and now of course that major setback. But he is going to be a furious man, and I suspect he will be gunning, charging for that reverse grid victory. So at the moment he's sitting back there 5th place, but now that drive through is going to set him right back into probably quite an isolated 8th position. It does mean that it looks like Campbell is going to get 5th place in the end, which is actually, if my calculations are correct, which is actually quite a solid effort given his struggles early on. It's Chill now coming into the pits, just compounding his own misery. That's so gutting for QVR. Chill now down into 8th. It promotes Leg, Tim, Campbell and Maverick up positions. So yeah, Chill is going to... This feature race has become a bit of a lost cause for him, but of course the sprint race though later on is going to be a chance for him to redeem himself and claw back some points.
Absolutely, yeah, and at the moment he is going to be on pole position for the sprint race, currently running in 8th. He's quite a ways ahead of Jordan JT, currently running in 9th, Alex in 10th after being held up in the pit lane behind his teammate. And Philippe's worked his way, actually, Philippe's done 2 pit stops in this race and has worked his way back up into 11th, directly behind these two. So despite only being 11th in this race, it's actually been a relatively good comeback from Philippe. It's a shame that he had to pit so early, because it looks like he's had pretty decent pace in that Ardent car, and he's swarming all over the back of Alex to get back into the top 10. He's actually going to go down the inside for turn 3. That'll be an audacious move if he can pull it off. He's got the inside line. They nearly touch. I think he just backs out of it, but he's going to have a better run through 4. Actually runs a little bit of a compromised line. He will have DRS though down into the chicane to see whether he can get the move done and get back into the top 10. Try and score some more points for Ardent, who are third in the Manufacturers' Championship at the moment. He is down the inside. Alex doesn't really fight it. Philippe on the soft tyres. Down the inside is going to get the move stuck. Philippe back up into the top 10. A good comeback from him, and he could get ninth from Jordan. It looks like he has the pace to close in on him. Looking further up the field though, we're coming with 2 laps to go. Toxic still 10.5 seconds clear. Despite Larkin having the fresher tyres, he's not really closed in. But one thing to look out for, Verstappen is 9.5 seconds behind Larkin. I don't know if actually Verstappen's got some front wing damage, so Verstappen's obviously struggling with performance, having front wing damage, as Toxic sets the fastest lap of the race on lap 14 on a set of medium tyres, a 49.8. That is so much faster than we've seen from anyone else. But Verstappen is now actually coming under pressure from Ling. Ling could end up on the podium here.
Yeah, and of course he is within penalty range. We do have 2 laps left to go, of course, here in Vietnam. And Verstappen, I can tell you right now, apparently does have 2 warnings. Now, of course, one of those, or both of those, could be for collisions with other cars. They were picked up just a lap apart from each other on laps 3 and 4. But now, yes, he runs wide actually, gets away with it. But now, of course, Ling is within that range. We've got yellows up there. I think that's Ebo who spun it going into the roundabout there. And yeah, not the race that he was after at all. But moving further back there, we've actually got now, as Ling is really chasing there for Verstappen. I think that damage is affecting him more than ever now. And now, that battle for the podium could well be on. Ling could be on for a very unlikely 3rd place here if that charge is sustained. Of course, Verstappen's going to have to try and buck up his ideas, try and pull it together right at the end. I'm watching now a battle on track between Tim and Campbell. We'll see how this one unfolds there. Campbell is going to tuck in, trying to get up to the rear wing of the Univirtuosi car. DRS now in order. Now he's going to close up to the back with Tim trying to defend that lane, going towards the hairpin, but it seems to be futile. The big DRS zone is going to glide Campbell through, locks up as we see drivers do often when they make overtakes down there. But Campbell is up 5th place now. It's a good recovery drive, and he's actually, if you look at it, he's actually not far behind Ling and Verstappen in the end. What could have been for Campbell really in this race? I think if he didn't spin, it was an easy podium, as another fastest lap yet again from Toxic MML. Wow, that is quite scintillating pace at the back end of this race. He has proved yet again to be the absolute class of the field in this feature.
Absolutely, yeah. Toxic at this point just seemingly showing off. A 49.5 is so fast. Oh, Toxic is sliding massively through turn 4. I think he got a little bit too early on the power, trying to go for another fastest lap, and he nearly spun the car, so he nearly jinxed himself with the pace that he has. I think Larkin will be frustrated, because if Toxic wasn't in this race, Larkin would have had a dominant race win. But again, he's going to play second fiddle to Toxic in this championship. Toxic out in front by a country mile. Larkin on his own in second, 13 seconds clear of Verstappen, who's only 6/10 of a second clear of Ling. Has a massive opportunity of getting on the podium. This will be a very unlikely podium for him. Can he get the move done before we get to the back straight? He's closing in, but the straight isn't quite long enough. I think Ling's just going to wait until the back straight. He knows that Verstappen's running with some sort of problem, and Ling's right up behind him now. It's only 4/10 of a second. Is he going to have a run through the long left-hander? Verstappen's going to really struggle with understeer here, and Ling's right up the back of him here. This almost looks like a done deal. Verstappen could lose the podium on the final lap. It was a great recovery from 6th on the grid from Verstappen, but it's going to be futile, because it looks like Ling's coming at him now. Ling in the Sharu car is going to have the run down into the hairpin. Does Verstappen go to the inside or the outside? Where does he want to go? Ling's going to go to the outside of the corner. He's going to go to the right hand side. Past in the braking zone. Does Verstappen come back at him? He can't. Verstappen can't get back down the inside. So Ling breezes past. Verstappen picks up a time penalty on the inside of the hairpin, so he's going to drop now behind his teammate. So Campbell's going to get back up into 4th in this one, despite the early spin. Verstappen going to drop down to 5th as Ling is up into the podium places. What a great drive this has been from him. But Toxic rounds the final corner already. He's going to cross the line and absolutely dominate the second feature race of the season. 2 feature race wins in a row for Toxic. He's had the perfect start to the season. Larkin's going to come across the line in second place, 11.5 seconds behind in the end, 8.6 after Toxic's penalty. Ling, though, is going to come round the final 2 corners. He's a ways back, but he is going to take 3rd place on the podium. What a drive from Ling ahead of the 2 Trident cars, again struggling in this race, not getting the best result they could have done. Second week in a row where they're going to come 4th and 5th in this one. It's Campbell, though, ahead of Verstappen, and Tim's going to come home in 6th place. It looks like he's going to hold on to 6th ahead of Maverick, who's going to come home in 7th place. He's going to come over in 7th. Where does Chill come? Chill falls in behind in 8th place. And that is the top 8 for you. Chill takes reverse grid pole, but what a dominant performance from his Prema teammate Toxic.
Indeed it is. That was absolutely remarkable. And yeah, Toxic just showing that on pure raw pace, he is the class of the field here. You know, I don't think there's any real hiding it at this point. He has been just absolute class all the way through, and it really, the rest of the grid at this point seem to be counting on mistakes from the Prema man. It has been absolutely remarkable. Ling takes driver of the day from the game, and I think that's deserved there. Great, just taking advantage of other drivers' misfortunes, picking his opportunities nicely, and coming home with a very well-earned podium. Ling was a superstar here in this race.
Absolutely, yeah, that's definitely a brilliant performance for Ling. I think makes up for the disappointment he had in Bahrain. He really struggled with pace, and I think he'll admit that as well. But Vietnam's gone much better for him, and he's on to the podium. Could Ling possibly throw himself into the battle for second in the championship? He finished ahead of Chill and both Trident cars, so he did a great job today, and he's going to throw himself into that mix. But again, like we said, it is Toxic who's going to take the feature race win in the end by 8.5 seconds over Larkin. Those two at the moment seemingly the class of the field, first and second once again. Ling 22.5 seconds behind Toxic, even with Toxic's penalty, and Ling without any. So that just goes to show how dominant Toxic was. Campbell comes home in 4th after an early spin in the race ahead of Verstappen in 5th. Tim in 6th, and the Uni Virtuosi ahead of Maverick in 7th, and Chill in 8th. What could have been for Chill, he will take reverse grid pole ahead of Maverick on the front row for the sprint race. Jordan JT comes home in 9th place ahead of Alex in 10th. Philippe drops to 11th after penalties. Ibo the final finisher in 12th, and Tun and Kyle T could not finish the race here in Vietnam. But considering that the track is relatively new to people and we know how difficult it is, that race was relatively incident free.
Yeah, I think the drivers came in with the right mentality of just trying to avoid the walls and stay out of trouble. We, of course, saw some very big names coming to blows, of course, there, and coming a cropper, so they're going to be the ones to really watch out. As ahead of this sprint race, I think the main story is, can Chill pull it off? Can he string together a great race and get his championship challenge back on board? If he wants to stay in the championship fight, a win, you must say, is pretty much a must at this point.
Absolutely, yeah. If he wants to keep himself within that battle, he's got to try and keep at the front of the field. The good thing for him is he's got some people behind to help him defend. But it's going to be interesting to see how far through the field the likes of Larkin and Toxic can come. Obviously, Toxic and Larkin were so much faster than the rest of the field in the feature race. But like we said, Vietnam is relatively difficult to overtake. Other than the hairpin at the end of the straight, we didn't really see any overtakes at any other point. So despite the pace they had, it's going to be difficult for Toxic and Larkin to make their way through the field.
Yeah, they've got to rely on that DRS zone really to pull off their passes, and that's going to be the prime area for moves at this circuit. But now, of course, you've got Chill at the front. Maverick joins him on the front row, and it's actually one to look out for. Those two Trident cars are starting relatively high up because of their misfortunes in that feature race. They've got a pretty good chance of some top results here, and you know, with the likes of Larkin, Toxic starting a little bit further down, and especially in that constructors fight, they've got to try and move forward, pressure Chill, and just try and keep Toxic behind. But Toxic, with that absolute display of driving dominance in the last race, he's going to be the man to watch as well. P8 on the grid, but we saw the discrepancy in pace between him and the rest of the field. I wouldn't rule him out for a podium or even a win if he keeps his nose clean and moves up the field quickly and efficiently. We'll see if Tox is able to pull that off, but it's his teammate Chill that needs a race win here desperately then. He's got Maverick joining him on the front row. The two, we've got Tim, of course, in the top three, and then those two Trident cars. Chill's got to try and keep a mistake-free race and try and bring home the win. Otherwise, that championship fight could be slipping away from him.
Absolutely, yeah. I know we're only on round 2, but it just goes to show how dominant Toxic has been so far in terms of pace. We did see, though, last week, Toxic starting from 8th on the grid. He did come unstuck in the sprint race. He did have great pace, but he did come into contact with a few people, and that did cost him a few places in the end. And we obviously spoke with Campbell before the race got going. Campbell knows that Toxic is he's a forceful driver when he needs to be. He can make the move stick, but they can be quite aggressive at points, and especially at a track like Vietnam, that could really catch him out.
Yes, especially if you run into a driver that's unwilling to give away their self. You can see that hairpin, for example, which really tightens up on exit. If you've got two drivers that are unwilling to yield going into that 90-degree with the wall that creeps up on you, well, you're going to be in for a rough time. So yeah, it's a track where one driver typically just has to give way and back off in wheel-to-wheel combat, and if neither driver does that, well, it's going to be a long day for them.
Absolutely, yeah. Another thing to look out for as well. Second week in a row, Danny Boy unfortunately couldn't join us for the start of the feature race, but he will be in the sprint race in the ART, so look out for him to work his way forwards. He worked his way forwards pretty nicely in Bahrain in the sprint race. He does have relatively decent pace on this game in these F2 cars, so look to him to try and work his way forwards. Same for Tun and Car T, who obviously could not finish the feature race. But Dan, I will pass over to you for the start of the sprint race.
Thank you very much. So it is Chill with a crucial race ahead of him if he wants to try and get himself back in this championship fight. Maverick, of course, poised alongside him. We've seen what he can do in that pre-season. We'll see if he can deliver the goods today. The last of the drivers settled. We are ready for the sprint race, the last event of the evening. We're going to see if this gets underway. We have 5 lights. And we are away for the sprint race. Looked like a good start from the second row there. That may be Tim trying to charge his way through. But it's going to be Chill and Maverick. Wheel to wheel going towards turn 1 there. Who's going to come in front there? It's Maverick on that inside line trying to get his way in front. But right outside goes QBR Chill. Looks for that race lead. Back to the inside. There goes Maverick as they head into turn 3. Still wheel to wheel for that race lead there. It's so important to grab the lead right here. Does Chill grab it? Yes, he does. He is through into that race leading position. So crucial. Tim tucks in behind. Campbell picks up that slipstream from there. Tim is going to pull to the inside. Maverick as well looking at Chill for the lead. Backs out last minute. Campbell on the inside of Tim trying to grab it round the outside of the roundabout. He's going to get close to the wall out there trying to pull it off round. Can't quite manage it. Toxic has already fed the Campbell into the wall. Campbell impacting into turn 9 and Toxic already into 4th place. Now behind go Larkin and Verstappen absolutely wheel to wheel and closing up to Campbell all the time. It's going to be now Campbell defends that inside line. Larkin makes it 3 wide, but the two Trident drivers are going to be so careful not to come together. 3 wide towards the hairpin. It's going to fall massive lunge. Who was that on earth? Was that Ling down the inside?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Ling completely outbraked himself. He went way too deep into the corner, missed the braking zone and slammed into the side of Toxic. I think Toxic's picked up damage from it. He got pushed into the wall. There's a virtual safety car, but feature race winner after an amazing start, caught out by Ling, who was far too late on the brakes, missed the corner, had to go through the inside and is slammed into the side of Toxic, who has the same front wing damage as Campbell. Disaster for Campbell and Toxic. 1-2 in last season. They're both going to have to come in and replace their has given Larkin an amazing opportunity at trying to take the lead of the championship as Maverick, second on the road, picks up a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit, for speeding under the virtual safety car.
And Campbell speeding in the pit lane as well. I don't know what's going on. These drivers are all over the place. I don't know what happened with Ling, because he's not, I assure you, he's not the driver that would be completely missing his braking point like that. And Toxic, of course, the unlucky driver on the receiving end. These guys all have to come in. Wing changes for all of them, I suspect. That is absolutely disastrous. But of course, it is now Chill that's going to inherit that race lead and keep it for the moment. Maverick is not disappearing down the road, though. He is sticking well in contention, and of course can try and grab that lead at any time when ZRS comes into play. Tim is hanging with him, though. That's a solid podium for him. And now he's got those big hitters, Larkin, Verstappen, top 10 underneath his rear wing, and looking for any opportunity to try and make their way past. We'll see how that all unfolds. But yeah, Chill's done all he needs to off the start then. He's maintained that lead as we now. This is a great opportunity for some of the guys, you know, like Jordan, for example, who wouldn't normally be finding himself up in those positions. We saw he did struggle in that feature race, but now running in 8th place after some of the other drivers coming to blows. As now we've got Danny, he's closing in on Ton towards that hairpin. They've got to be careful, they may be entering side by side. Who's going to come out on top fairly on the brakes from Danny? Has that inside line, a little bit of wheel to wheel contact with Ton, who gets pushed out wide, and Danny boy up into 8th place now on the road, and now looking to try and dispossess Jordan of that 7th place. We'll see how successful he is there. We've got Kyle T, of course, who didn't really get a chance to prove himself in that feature race. He is now looking to try and move his way through, as now Campbell, Philippe, Toxic and Ling, all drivers that you'd usually be expecting to be a little bit higher up the field, now way down there after misfortunes on the opening lap and are going to have to charge, but there's so much ground to make up because a pit stop is such a detriment here.
Absolutely, yeah. Such a massive detriment, especially with the front wing change as well. That's easily over a 30-second pit stop in the end. DRS is now enabled. We are on to lap 3 in this race. Remember, Maverick, he's doing a good job in second, but he does have a drive-through penalty, so he's got to come in to serve that drive-through before the 3 laps is up, and he's on his second lap at the moment, so he's got to serve it now. He's keeping just within DRS range still, which is such a shame for Maverick. It looks like he has good pace at the moment. Tim still running in third, but Larkin swarming all over him now. He's got his DRS open on the back of the Univirtuoso man. Can he get past? Can he chase down Chill maybe for the race lead when Maverick comes in? And then it's Verstappen running in a net P4 ahead of Alex in P5. Jordan will be up to 6th. Danny Boy, meanwhile, he's coming onto the back of Jordan. Is he going to go for the outside of the chicane? He's very, very late on the brakes. He goes all the way round the outside of the chicane. That's a brilliant move if he can pull it off, and you know what? He has.
Wow.
That is a brilliant move from Danny Boy, bearing in mind that Danny Boy is missing his I can't even get my words out. He's missing his front right end plate at the moment. Even with the damage he has, he's flying through the field. It's a shame he has that damage because the pace he's showing, he could be battling the guys at front. Has Chill gone off the road? No, I think that's just a timing glitch on my end. Or no, Maverick went far too deep on the brakes of the hairpin. That's another one. As Larkin's up the inside of Tim. Tim runs wide. Larkin's up into 3rd place. He's made the move stick on the Univirtuoso man. Jordan's coming back at Danny Boy, but Jordan can't get the move stuck, and here comes Tun trying to get past. He's trying to get down the inside for the next corner. He's going to get the better run. He's got the inside line, but can Jordan hold it around the outside? It narrows up on the exit of the corner. Tun has the inside. Jordan's still there. They bang wheels. Tun just holds on to the car. Jordan's going to have the inside line, but Tun goes all the way around the outside and takes 8th place ahead of Jordan, who couldn't keep the momentum on the exit of the corner. He's up into 8th place. Good move from him. Maverick's into the pit lane to serve his drive-through penalty, so Chill's back into the lead, but Larkin is now into 2nd place.
Yeah, Larkin now, just like in that feature race, has chilled that Prema driver in his sights, and any opportunity he will take, but the gap still currently safe at 1.5 seconds. It's enough for Chill at the moment, so he doesn't have Larkin swarming all over him in that DRS. Now, the next driver to challenge Tim is going to be QVR. Verstappen is trying to run with Larkin all the way through this race. He's had a difficult start to the season. Now, he's going to try and set that right as he now tucks in underneath the rear wing of the Univirtuoso car, but Tim still has that DRS off of the Orden in front. Verstappen looks to the inside, going towards the roundabout, but decides to hang back and think better of that overtaking maneuver. Goes very down the inside, very late in a turn 8, maybe trying to compromise that. Tim's line has worked. Tim smacks the wall on the exit, and that's going to be all the invitation Verstappen needs. He is up into 3rd position now, and I don't think Tim is going to have room to fight back. Verstappen has managed to maintain that DRS, which is going to be vital. It's going to be adamant in his defence, but he's still going to defend that inside line into the hairpin, but he does hold 3rd place. Tim has to settle for 4th there. His teammate Alex sitting pretty isolated in 5th place. Further down the field, you got Kyle T, who cruises past Jordan. JT going down into that hairpin. Jordan trying to get underneath him, but doesn't quite come off there. As who we've got yellow flags. That's Ebo backing off, I think, down the straight.
Ebo side by side with Toxic, lost the car coming onto the straight and has hit the wall, unfortunately. Toxic's worked his way back up into 11th place. He's passed Campbell somewhere on this lap as well. Toxic running on the soft tyres, has the fastest lap of the race as well. He's 20 seconds off the back of the guys in front. We'll see whether he can catch the guys in front. Knowing the pace he has, he could catch them. Maverick, meanwhile, running in 10th place, trying to get past the 2 cars in front, which is Carty and Tun. Both struggling for pace here, and Maverick seems to have far more confidence. One thing to look out for, Tim, obviously, with that front wing damage now, he's going to get caught by his teammate Alex, but Danny Boy, with his front wing damage, is catching both Univirtuoso cars at the moment. He's flying despite the damage he has. Tun running in 7th place, Carty in 8th, Jordan in 9th. Maverick right on the back of him. Is Maverick going to go to the inside? Jordan defends, turns it into an overtaking opportunity maybe on Kyle. He's going to the outside, but Kyle just about squeezes him out. Jordan runs into the back of Carty into the corner. Carty slowed down so much. Here comes Maverick down the inside. Is he going to get the momentum down the inside of the corner? He is, and he's going to sail past the Campos man of Jordan JT. He's up into 9th place. Jordan nearly runs right into the back of Maverick there, but Maverick up into 9th place. He's now on the back of Carty for 8th. He's working his way forwards nicely, and a lot of people in front of him have damage, so Maverick could pick up a lot of places here, as Larkin is now only half a second behind Till and is dragging Verstappen with him. Till once again starting to struggle on these medium tyres. Can Larkin get a move done maybe into the hairpin? He will have DRS DRS. He's going to get DRS. It's going to be open about now. It's only 0.3 of a second. Larkin's definitely close enough to challenge. Just Chill go to the inside or the outside. Chill's going to stick to the racing line. Larkin's going to go right to the inside. He's going to breeze past before the braking zone. Just Chill come back at him. He does, but Larkin has the inside line and the momentum. Chill's going to have a great run out the outside of the corner, though. Larkin does he get the better run? He does. Larkin has a better second phase of traction coming out the corner. Larkin takes the lead of the race while championship leader is currently running in 11th. This is perfect for Larkin. Chill is powerless to defend once again, doesn't have the grip to keep with Larkin, and he's now under pressure from Verstappen, who's only 1.2 seconds behind. Chill once again struggling, and Larkin looking for his first win of the season.
And what a win it would be, as you mentioned, with Toxic all the way down there, making up ground rather quickly on the cars ahead, but is it going to be enough to grab any sort of points from this race? Larkin now grabs the race lead, Chill dropping back, and now it's Verstappen who's going to come into play as he chases down his QVR mate, but of course they're not exactly teammates in this regard. As further back down the field, Maverick looking for another move in there, but this time on KLT, and he does manage to get ahead. This is right at the end of the lap, so he's managed to pull himself together, and now up into 8th. His comeback drive on. Next up is Ton Albanach, just up the road, who's struggling, it must be said, to keep pace with the very quick and very rapid Danny Boy. Look at how quickly he is cruised up to the back of Alex there. Such impressive pace with wing damage, and now he's going to be looking at a top 5 from the back of the grid. This has been a superlative drive so far.
This has absolutely been an amazing drive from Danny Boy. It's a shame you couldn't join us for the feature race because he seems to have incredible pace around here. With the front wing damage, he's only half a second off the back of Alex. Uni Virtuosi having their best race of the season so far, currently running 4th and 5th, but that's under pressure now from Danny Boy in the ART. He doesn't have the best run out of the corner with that damage, but he's still definitely close enough to challenge. Verstappen is close enough to challenge Chill down into the hairpin. Is Verstappen going to go for a move? Chill has DRS to defend, so I don't think Verstappen's going to be close enough. He looks to the inside, but Chill still has second place for the time being, for Verstappen has to stay in behind. Here comes Danny Boy though on Alex. Does Alex go to the inside of the track? He keeps it in the middle of the road. Danny Boy thinks about it, but he doesn't go for the inside line. But Alex is a little bit late on the brakes. He's down the inside. Meanwhile, Tim has spun. The other Uni Virtuosi from 4th. He's spun coming out of the corner, has hit the wall. He's damaged his front wing even more. So this is now a battle for 4th place for Danny Boy. What a performance this has been from 15th on the grid. He's going to stick behind him through the final sector. He's not going to be able to get past here unless he can go for a move like Maverick did coming into the penultimate corner. But Danny Boy with the damage doing a brilliant
Or Verstappen. Verstappen's down the inside of the penultimate corner. An attempt at trying to get past Chill, but Chill's done well. They held it round the outside, but it's dropped him back from Larkin, who's now free of that DRS. And now Verstappen has a clear run at trying to dispossess Chill of that second place. Chill, we said it was a must win, but now that's slipping through his fingers there against these very high quality drivers, Larkin and Verstappen. Verstappen himself now looking to try and grab that second position. We'll see if he can do down this second DRS zone. Chill doesn't get the best exit off of turn 5, so now Verstappen is going to come into the play. Does the corner arrive in time for Chill? I'm not sure if it's going to do, because here comes Verstappen. He's going to go to the inside, breaking pretty late there. Half-hearted move though. He's compromised Chill's lane, and now Verstappen gets underneath, going through turn 8 there, and he may just go straight through. He will be able to maintain that. No, he won't actually. The DRS will be with Chill, so he'll be able to fight back. There they go over the detection point now, and wheel to wheel yet again. Chill this time has the DRS. Can he regain that second place? They're going to go absolutely side by side, but that drag reduction system is enough for QVR. Chill, he runs now in second place. Verstappen looks trying to counteract down that inside. Further back now, Danny Boy is taking 4th place, but Alex fighting back at him, looking at swapping and changing out on track there. Round the outside goes Danny, but Alex is breaking late as well. Holds the line at the hairpin on the inside, looks for the shorter run going through turn 11, and yes, just about holds on a 4th place. These guys absolutely swapping and changing all the time. Superb stop out there. Chill, sterling defensive second place so far, but for how much longer can he maintain it? Verstappen all over him in that fight.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think Chill's picked up front wing damage somewhere. I think when Verstappen went for the move for the penultimate corner, he thinks about it again, does Verstappen, but he's not close enough this time round. Chill understeered into the wall and picked up front wing damage by the looks of things, so he's lost 3 seconds to Larkin now, who was disappearing out front, and he's hit the wall even more. He's damaged his front wing massively is Chill now. That understeer, he's got massive front wing damage on the right hand side. That's going to cost him so much time. Verstappen's down the inside. Is he going to get the move stuck at turn 1? Verstappen has to bounce over the curb on the inside. He's compromised on traction because all the way around the outside of turn 2, Chill nearly understeers into the side of him, but Verstappen is able to pull it off around the outside of turn 2 and 3. A brilliant move from Verstappen, capitalising on Chill's mistake, and Chill is now going to drop like a stone with that front wing damage. He's got 8 seconds back to Alex. He's going to come back at him, is he? This is going to be a risky move, especially with the damage he has. Verstappen moves to the middle of the road, but Chill's coming back at him down the inside. Is Verstappen going to hold the momentum around the outside? Chill's on the curb on the inside. Verstappen still down the inside, but Chill's going to try and hold it. He's on the curb. He beaches the car on the curb on the outside. Verstappen down the inside. Chill hasn't got anything to attack, but once again, Chill. He's going to have the run down into the hairpin. This has not really worked out for Verstappen so far. He's gone for the move too early, and now Chill's going to be coming back at him. Further in behind, Danny Boy looks to have 4th set in stone now. He's clear of Alex as Chill's going to breeze back past Verstappen with that DRS once again. Verstappen still can't get the move stuck on Chill, and Chill, even with the damage, has now breezed back past Verstappen. Verstappen runs into the back, and Chill spun on the curb on the inside of the hairpin. He's going to tap the wall. He just gets away with it, but Verstappen caught out by it. Verstappen lets Chill go, so they drop even further back. Danny Boy just holds on to 4th ahead of Alex as well, who tried to go back down the inside. I don't know where to look in this race. It's going absolutely crazy. Larkins is now 9 seconds. He's so far out in front. Chill surely going to have to pit with that damage. Still stuck behind him. Chill nearly hits the wall again. Is Verstappen going to go for a move in the final sector? Chill, look at how much understeer he has. Danny Boy's nearly caught these Alex and Ton. Chill's understeering massively. Chill's not going to go into the pit lane. He's going to hold it. Verstappen going to try and go round the outside of the penultimate corner, but he locks up and he doesn't have the run. Chill has the inside line still. Verstappen's taking too long to get past Chill with the damage. He's holding on at the moment. Danny Boy and Alex are coming at them as well. Let's see whether Chill can hold the line into turn 1. Verstappen's got the inside line if he goes for the move. He feigns to the inside, but he's still not close enough. Chill holds on for the time being. Chill stays in 2nd place. You need to take over from me, Dan. I'm going to lose my voice. It's crazy. Actually, as I say that, Verstappen's down the inside of turn 3. He's got the momentum. Chill understeers wide. Verstappen. Verstappen has a rear lock by the looks of things. Just has to hold the car. He can't make the move stick, but he's got to run now. Runs into the back of Chill, coming out of turn 4. Down the DRS straight. He had to back off, but he's got another run. Is he going to go to the outside? Chill all the way to the wall on the inside of the corner. Here comes Verstappen round the outside. Is he going to make the move stick this time? He looks out of it. Is he? Chill's got the outside line, but again, Verstappen's does Verstappen go to the inside once again? He does, but Chill is going to have the DRS again down the straight. They're side by side.
They're trying to back off, I think, to give each other DRS. This is sensational. What a stout defensive 2nd place this has been from QVR Chill. But is it going to survive for much longer? Well, he does have DRS at his disposal now, and he's going to go back past QVR Verstappen. This has to be one of the finest battles that the F2 Championship has ever seen. And as well, we've got Danny Boy and Alex both closing in on this there. Chill has done such a remarkable job of holding 2nd place with wing damage. He's absolutely killed the fight for the win in this race. But what have we been treated to? Chill and Verstappen, take a bow, both of you. Can Chill hang on for 2 more laps? Verstappen has tried the same move 3 times in a row, and neither time it's come off. He's got to be a bit wiser about it this time if he wants to try and get through. Chill holding him up for so long, but with that much wing damage, surely he doesn't have much more time left in 2nd place.
Absolutely not. It does Verstappen go for a move at the penultimate corner? No, we can't. There's only really one line through the final sector. Verstappen can't get a move start. Danny Boy's within DRS range of these two nearly now as they come around the final corner. Look how much understeer Chill has. Verstappen has to back out of the corner not to run into the back of his QVR teammate. Does he go to the inside for turn 1? He's got the run. He's going to go down the inside of turn 1. He's late on the brakes. He bounces over the curb on the inside. Chill has the inside line for turn 2 though. Remember, Chill's got front wing damage, so he might understeer quite heavily. Verstappen round the outside of turn 3. We've seen this before though, and still Chill's down the inside. Ton and Maverick are fighting for 6th place. The 2 Carling cars. Maverick looks like he's got past his teammate. Verstappen's back up into... Chill's going to have DRS. He's going to fight back. Danny Boy is in behind these guys as well. He's almost running into the back of Verstappen. He had so much more momentum than these two. They're still side by side. Verstappen's going to have the inside line for the corner once again. Verstappen picks up a time penalty on the inside of the chicane. That's going to cost him. And again, Verstappen's going to have the lead of these guys coming down into the straight. But look at Chill. Chill floors it through the corner and he's actually going to be ahead of Verstappen. So Verstappen will have the DRS this time round. But Danny Boy's right in behind. Look at the run that the ART man has got. He's already alongside Verstappen. Is he going to try and get Chill as well? Chill blocks the line off. Contact, Danny Boy went for a move and Chill blocked the line off too late, and Danny Boy's been forced into the wall. He's lost his front wing almost completely. He's going to lock up into the corner. He nearly runs into the back of Verstappen. Verstappen's up into second. Danny Boy up into third. Chill drops to fourth, but having forced Danny Boy into the wall, all of these guys are running. They're so close together. There's so much damage. Maverick's nearly back up into the podium places, and Tun's being dragged with them. What a race this has been, and we've still got a lap to go.
I am completely speechless. You seen this third sector? There was absolutely no downforce on Danny Boy's car. He's going to have to try and crawl it to the end. Oh, Maverick, with a drive-through penalty, is going to be headed potentially for a podium here, because I think both Chill and Danny Boy have absolutely nothing left after that collision. Oh, Maverick could be on for another podium here. Can he pull this one off? He is down the inside of QBR Chill. It doesn't quite come off though. He's going to try and get the exit down the main street. Chill has the RS still off of the back of Danny Boy. That may just about hold him out there in fourth place. Maverick late lunge down the inside. Doesn't quite come through. Chill holds fourth place. This sprint race has been remarkable, but the downforce of Maverick is going to put him clear down the inside. He now runs fourth. Now it's just Danny Boy to negotiate in what has been quite a sensational sprint race. Danny Boy and Chill coming together as gifted Verstappen second place. Larkin is so far out in front of this race after all the battling.
Oh,
Chill! Oh, Chill, what's going on?
He's completely missed his braking point for the chicane. He dived it down the inside of Maverick to avoid him, and Maverick keeps fourth place, but Chill far too late on the brakes. Tun's caught these guys in all of this as well, and Tun has front wing damage himself. Is he going to have a run on Chill down the straight as Chill hits the wall again? Coming out of the corner, Toxic meanwhile has worked his way almost back up into 8th place in this race. Where has he come from? On those soft tyres, is nearly back into the top 8 despite having the damage at the start. Is Tun going to have a run on Chill? Chill has the DRS to defend. Tun's looking to the outside as he dives towards the inside for the hairpin. He looks to the inside. Chill really late on the brakes, but Cart doesn't look like he might get that one stopped. About gets it stopped. Tun can't get the move stuck. Danny Boy at the moment just hold on to a podium here with no that he can pull that off on 15th on the grid with no front wing. Danny Boy is running in third at the moment, only 3 seconds behind Verstappen. Verstappen, even with the time penalty at the moment, looks safe as Tun looks like he's got past Chill. Chill spun again and has completely lost his front wing now. Down to 6th place. Maverick, no, on the back of Danny Boy. Larkin, meanwhile, we completely missed it. Larkin has crossed the line and won the race. Sorry to Larkin, but we completely missed you. Maverick round the outside of Danny Boy, coming towards the penultimate corner. What a move from Maverick. Even with the damage from Danny Boy, he's up into 3rd place. Verstappen's going to cross the line in 2nd. He's just going to hold on to it. And Maverick, with a drive-through penalty, is going to come home to 3rd place. He just holds on ahead of Danny Boy in 4th with no front wing. Tun comes home in 5th. Great race for Carlin overall. Chill only 6th. Kyle T is going to cross the line in 7th, and Jordan.
A puncture.
Yo, Kyle T did have a puncture, yeah. I don't know where to look in this race. Jordan ended up 7th. He repassed Toxic somewhere on the last lap. Toxic comes home in 8th. Alex is going to come home in 10th in the end ahead of Campbell, who only came home in 11th with a 5-second time penalty. I'm completely out of breath after that one. Sorry to Larkin, we missed you winning that race. Larkin came home 19 seconds clear of Verstappen in an 11-lap race.
That was quite incredible, and breathe, I think, is the word that needs to go out to us too, because that was quite something. After a relatively undramatic feature race, we got treated to a simply incredible sprint race. Wow. Unfortunately, of course, I'm very disappointed that that incident between Chill and Danny Boy came to happen. I think that Danny Boy will be a bit furious with that one, to be honest, but yeah. That is Larkin in the end. We kind of just glossed over at the end of that race because so much was going on behind. But that is going to be huge for his championship chances. The remarkable consistency of Larkin. Dare I say it? Is that him into the championship lead? I'm not sure, but he must be close there. Larkin, second, first. That is an incredible start to the season from the Arden driver.
Absolutely, yeah. And even though Toxic obviously made a mistake in the sprint race in Bahrain and got caught up in someone else's accident here today, it's the consistency from Larkin that I think is, like you say, going to put him in the championship lead coming into the next round. And that's one thing you need to look out for, is as other people make mistakes, Larkin, one that almost seems to be immune to mistakes at the moment. He takes the sprint race win ahead of Verstappen in 2nd place with the time penalty. He just holds on in the end. Maverick into 3rd. drive from him. He said in the stream chat that it was a one-off performance that he got a podium in Silverstone. I don't think that's the case because he's got another one to take the podium place here in the sprint race in Vietnam. Boy comes home 4th from last on the grid and no front wing. That is such a performance from him. Tun in 5th ahead of Chill 6th, Jordan 7th, Toxic only 8th in the end. Kyle T 9th ahead of Alex. He rounds off the top 10. Tim the finishes today for the sprint race. Everyone finished the race in the end. Despite the carnage we had, everyone finished that race. But that top 8 in the end is completely different to what I predicted it was going to be.
Yeah, and I think what everyone would have predicted it was going to be. What a dramatic sprint race we were treated to, because I think these guys were trying to battle at a track where it's very difficult to battle on, and we kind of saw the consequences of that in the last few laps. As for the contact between Danny Boy and Chill, I think that both parties do take a bit of the blame. I think Chill moved quite late, and Danny Boy maybe went for a gap that was always going to close. So it is what it is. I think those guys are both not going to be happy, and I suspect that will be taken to the stewards. But apart from that, that put a bit of a taint on the end of that race. That was absolutely superb for a sprint race. That
was absolutely amazing. If we get more of that throughout the rest of the season, this is going to be one heck of a season for Formula 2. That is a brilliant, brilliant race. And in the end, like you said at the start of the stream, to finish first almost finished. While everyone did finish, barely anyone finished with any of their car left. The only one that did finish with their car left was Larkin, and he ended up dominating the sprint race, and he will lead the championship going into the next round, which I believe is the next round is at the Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken. So the Netherlands, can we see maybe the same thing again from Larkin, but consistently finishing on the podium?
Well, again, it's a track that punishes mistakes. Of course, there's not a whole lot of, there's not too much runoff, and of course the runoff at that track, a lot of it is grass. So very little room for error there at Zandvoort. And yeah, again, just like today, the drivers that make the least mistakes are going to be the ones that come out on top. Now, of course, Toxic didn't really do much wrong. Ling, just a massive misjudgment on the brakes that wiped him out of that position. So I think he can feel somewhat aggrieved after that, and he will be hungry to fight back. But at the moment, it seems like the two quickest, most consistent drivers so far, Larkin, Toxic, they're proving to be, although there's a lot of very high quality drivers, so far at least, they've proved to be in the class of the field.
Absolutely. Yeah. Been up and race so far. Up and down for both Trident cars, for Chill as well. He had a great performance in Bahrain. It's not worked for him at Vietnam, and with the consistency that Larkin and Toxic have shown, they will be quite far in front coming into the next round. Just before we close off the stream today, I don't know how you're going to choose this, but I'm gonna ask you to choose a driver of the day. Who do you think's going to take your accolade of driver of the day?
I think, okay, it's hard to choose because Larkin has ended with the highest points tally, I'm very certain from that. But also, you can't exactly underestimate the fact that Toxic didn't really do anything wrong today. He was just unlucky. So, again, it kind of comes down to those two. I guess just based on results, I'm going to give it to Larkin, but I do think that Toxic drove brilliantly and was just unlucky in that sprint race.
Yeah, absolutely. I probably agree with you on that one, that I think Larkin will probably take it just because of the consistency that he's shown. Obviously, it's also got caught up in that incident, and he had a good recovery to come back to finish 8th in the end, even with a puncture on his front left tyre. That's amazing to come home with a puncture and finish 8th in the end. But yeah, he got unlucky today. But a shout out as well to Danny Boy. It's a shame he missed the feature race because he seemed to have incredible pace around this track. It's a shame that he missed it because he could have been a factor in the feature race as well. So I will give a shout out to Danny Boy for a brilliant result in the sprint race as well.
Yes, indeed, although of course getting caught up in that incident at the end, but I don't think we'll gloss over that one too much. Yeah, I guess that's going to be it then from us if you've not got much more to say. Again,
I've lost my voice at this point. I mean, I'm going to have a nap after this one because that was absolutely crazy. But yeah, that's all we've really got to say for the rest of this stream. All I can say now is I can't wait for the next round. I'm sure that's going to be more of the same, and we're going to see some great racing next time out, and we'll see whether anyone can challenge Toxic in terms of outright speed.
Yes, indeed, and we're going to find that out in a week's time, but I'll leave it to you to round it off for tonight after a relatively calm and composed feature race, an absolutely manic sprint race to close things off. So yeah, great night of racing overall. Looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely, yeah. And thank you everyone for tuning into the stream. Thank you everyone for racing. Thank you everyone for commenting on the stream as well. And join us this time next week again for round 3 of the championship at the Netherlands. But from myself and Dan, it is goodbye.